September is back to school season, so I wanted to add a little bit of academia into my bullet journal this month. September's setup has a very vintage, cozy vibe and features soft brown tones, detailed patterns, and lots of treasures from the past. I've never set up a theme before with this brown neutral color palette, so I'm very excited to show you how it all came together. Hello everyone, my name is Norvia and welcome back to my channel. The very first page I'll work on for this setup is my cover page. To take up a lot of space very quickly, I first decided to glue in this piece of scrapbook paper that looks like a very detailed vintage wallpaper. This serves to anchor the page so then I can add other washi tapes and stickers along the top and bottom. Next, I'll glue in the main September title for this page. I wanted this title to stick out from the paper behind it, so I decided to letter it first on a different sheet of paper and then glue it in over top. On the opposite side of the page, I'm going to put my quote for this month. I chose the quote, "To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, that is all," by Oscar Wilde. I usually like to match my quotes with the theme that I use, and I felt like this matched very well to the vintage academia theme. Instead of hand lettering like usual, this time I decided to use some of my letter stamps. I wanted the word rarest to stick out a little bit from the rest, so I decided that was the only word I was going to hand letter myself. Then I'll add a few more decorations to both pages before I move on. By the way, if you see any stationery that you like the look of, all of the materials that I use in this video are going to be linked in the description down below. Flipping the page, I'll begin working on my calendar. You might notice I'm doing something a little bit different from usual and using a ruler for my lines instead of just freehanding it. As I've said in previous videos, I don't have the best track record with rulers. I often get distracted when using them, so my lines will end up wobbly anyway, or my lines will go past the points I want them to. However, since I decided on going with this very classic academia theme, I decided I would try using a ruler again. After drawing each line, I take the ruler away and wipe it off so that there's no excess when I go to use it again. After I finish with the outline, I'll again use my letter stamps to stamp the first letter of each day of the week at the top of the calendar. Next, I'll again hand letter September at the top of this page as well. The only reason I decided to hand letter these instead of using the stamps is because I wanted it to be bigger than the rest and I don't have a bigger set of stamps. Every other piece of writing throughout the setup will be done with my letter stamps. After that, I'll focus on placing my decorations in the bottom right corner and at the top of the page. These two specific spaces are bigger just due to the shape of the calendar. First, I'll layer down another piece of scrapbook paper, this time with music notes on it, and then I'll place stickers over top to build up layers. Finally, to finish off my calendar, I'll go in and number each of the calendar boxes 1 through 30. I'll also write the numbers 1 through 30 down the left-hand side of the next page. This page is meant to be my gratitude log. At the end of each day, I'll write down one thing I was grateful for. I've left an empty space at the top of the page to decorate with washi tapes, stickers, and its stamped title. Finally, to break up the page a little bit, I'll highlight every second line with a light marker. This helps distinguish the days from each other and helps put a pop of color on an otherwise completely white space. This marker is unfortunately drying out a little bit, so the last couple of lines I have to go over a couple times to get them dark enough. Moving on, I'll start working on my mood tracker. At the top of the page, I'll draw 6 boxes for each of my moods. Usually I like to track if I felt joyful, productive, average, sad, tired, or angry during a day. After that, on the rest of the page, I'll begin hand drawing 30 different icons for each of the days of the month. Everything else throughout this setup has had a very antique and classic vibe to it, so I wanted to add a little bit of coziness by hand drawing each of these. I'll draw various items such as a globe, stamps, ink bottles, books, feather pens, music notes, butterflies, and other various items. Also, if you're liking my setup so far, please go ahead and give this video a like as well as comment down below. Also, if you haven't already, I would really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel. Finally, at the top of the page, I'll stamp my title before adding in just 2 stickers for decoration. Since this page is already so busy, I didn't want to add too much more and clutter it up. On the right side of the page, I'll move on to my habit tracker. The first thing I'll do in this page is draw in 8 rectangular boxes. Each box is 15 squares across and 2 squares down. 4 of the boxes are oriented on the left side of the page, while the other 4 are on the right. This gives me a little bit of space at the end of each box to write in which habit I'm going to track. In any given month, I'll track anywhere from 6 to 9 habits, but for September, I decided 8 was the right amount. After drawing in each of the outlines, then I'll begin writing in all of the numbers in each of the boxes. With the mood tracker, I left space at the top of the page for the title and decoration. In order to contrast that with this page, I left the bottom portion blank. This will help balance out the pages and not make it so the top or bottom feels too heavy. Now I've completed all of my monthly pages and will begin working on my weekly spreads. For this first weekly, I hadn't done a weekly with the Dutch door in a little while, so that's what I decided to do. I'll cut along the line I already had planned, and then I'll round the corners with my corner puncher. Having a Dutch door like this gives you extra space both for planning and for decoration. After cutting out the Dutch door, I'll get my ruler out again to do the lines for my meal tracker. Also, depending on the month, sometimes I'll have a meal tracker included with the monthly pages, and sometimes I'll do it individually on the weekly spreads. Also, here you'll see my first mistake with the ruler and the line gets a little wobbly. There will be a couple more mistakes like this, but overall, I think I did a pretty good job getting my lines straight. Next, I'll stamp the first letters to each of the days of the week on the left side of these boxes. Next, I'll use the same method as I used in my gratitude log and do second line highlights for each of my planning spaces. I like to call this an open concept weekly since each of the planning spaces aren't closed off with a box around it. Next, I'll flip over the Dutch door and do the same thing on the other side. You'll notice in total I have 8 planning spaces between these pages. 7 of the spaces will be used for the days of the week, and the final space will be used for notes. I'll also get out my ruler again to outline 8 lines with 4 spaces between them. These spaces will be used for me to plan specific events happening on each day of the week. Next, I'll flip the Dutch door back over so that I can add in my number stickers and stamp in my titles. These number stickers are all on a brown background and have gold gilded numbers, so I thought that they matched with the theme very well. Finally, to finish off this side of the page, I'll begin adding decoration on the top left and between each of the planning spaces. Then I'll flip the page and do the exact same things to the other side. Moving on to my second weekly spread, this one is much more closed concept. On the right side of the page, I'll again have my meal tracker outlined. All of the planning spaces are on the left side of the page in horizontal boxes. When I go to outline the left side of the page, I'll realize that I only have 7 boxes, one for each day of the week. I don't have any space for notes or events on this page. So on the right side of the page, right next to the meal tracker, I'll again outline 8 lines to create space to plan events. Just like on the previous page, each box will get a number sticker and its title stamped in. Finally, I'll finish off the page by adding some washi tapes and stickers. For my third weekly setup, I again have an open concept with a Dutch door. However, to differentiate this spread from the first one, this time my meal and event trackers are on the Dutch door instead of the planning spaces. Also on this page, I've put the planning spaces closer together and oriented towards the outside of the page. This leaves open spaces towards the center of the page for decoration. This way, I'll have enough space to use some of my bigger stickers. For my fourth and final weekly, this is another closed concept spread. To differentiate this spread from the second one, the planning spaces this time are on the right side of the page instead of the left. Also, this time I had enough space to do 8 boxes, so I can take away my event tracker on the left side and instead use that space for decoration. By differentiating each weekly spread from each other, it makes each one feel new and keeps me motivated and interested in using my bullet journal each day. As we get ready for the final flip through, I just want to thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. Also, I wanted to let everybody know I only have space to do one more monthly setup in this bullet journal. October is going to be in this journal, but November and December are going to go in a different new one. Please let me know in the comments if you've also had to switch over to a new bullet journal this year. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.